Good evening, everyone, and I'm back with another question of the week. This time asked by George Mercer 402. How many warmongers exist in the Gundam franchise? A warmonger is basically a person or group of people that start wars for financial benefit. And first of all, let's talk a little bit about semantics, because most definitions for a warmonger that I could find can be summed up as someone who wants war instead of a peaceful solution, without mentioning anything about financial benefits. But for the sake of this video, I am going to stick with the definition that George gave, because otherwise we would be here all day. Without warmongers, you don't have a war, you don't have a Gundam series. So, the earliest and also arguably one of the worst warmongers in all of Gundam can be found very early on. Anaheim Electronics, also known as the Tyrants of the Moon, the Merchants of Death, or the real villains of the Universal Century after the 1 Year War. But how did this come to be? Well, the earliest that we know about Anaheim is that they were basically the Amazon of the Universal Century, but 10 times more monopolistic. They sold fridges, TVs, cars, they had a space shuttle company, and even their own credit card, so you could pay for your Anaheim stuff with Anaheim stuff. And from the documents that we've got, they were also the company for those products. So if you wanted quality, you went with Anaheim. Whether it was branded Anaheim or branded as one of their many subsidiaries, which were still Anaheim, a business practice that we also see a lot in our modern world. So they made a lot of money. A lot of money. And then the 1 Year War came and went, and with it came new opportunities. Zeon was defeated, and their mobile suit making companies were now up for the grab. Anaheim jumped on it, meaning that they were now like Amazon, but with their own military arm. There is no way this can go right. And it wouldn't be long before Anaheim would really begin to pull the stunts that would make him infamous, providing opposing sides of a conflict with weapons. And if you read in between the lines, you can also see some instigating here as well. So Anaheim obviously has ties to the Earth Federation, but almost as soon as they can, they begin to back the AUG, which obviously opposes the Federation. And with their backing, the AU goes from like a ragtag group of rebels to an actual military force that is able to not just go up against the Federation, but even their elite forces, the Titans. Or in other words, you could say that they invested in the AUG, and that their investment turned into a full-blown war where they're selling mobile suits to both the AUG and the Titans. Or then later on, during Char's Rebellion and Gundam Unicorn, the Zeon Remnant groups have this mysterious, suspicious ability to build up their forces out of nowhere with state-of-the-art mobile suits. And lo and behold, both the mobile suits used by the Zeon Remnant groups and the Earth Federation are made by Anaheim, with the mobile suits used by the Zeon Remnants given a slight edge to make up for the Federation's numerical advantage. Almost as if Anaheim is doing their best to make both groups equally matched, because, after all, that way the war will drag on longer, meaning more mobile suits will get destroyed, and more mobile suits will need to be made and repaired, meaning more profits for the company making them. So while they put up a good front, when you really look at them, they are absolutely a financially backed warmonger. In the alternate universes then, we first find the Romefeller Foundation from Gundam Wing. And talking about Gundam Wing, if anyone is wondering where this t-shirt is from, it is from Huff. So the Foundation was first seen in 1862 of our timeline, and ever since that time, they've been influencing major events throughout the world, and most importantly, pushing nations towards war. Because the members of the Romefeller Foundation are aristocrats who control most munitions factories and also the supply routes. So if a war breaks out, they make bank. But eventually, this would no longer be enough, and they wanted to become the undisputed ruler of both the Earth and space. So when a United Earth government popped up, the United Earth Sphere Alliance, they immediately began to infiltrate it, and slowly but surely also managed to take control of it. So they're like the New World Order, but with mobile suits. And a very similar thing happened in Gundam Seed, except that they're now racist. Logos. Basically, they're a group that consisted of the most wealthy and powerful industrial leaders in the world, which of course also included the military-industrial complex. So, just like the Romefeller Foundation, they tried to instigate as much war as possible, because that meant more profits. And in the cosmic era, the easiest way to do this was racism. With regular humans, the naturals on one side, and the evil, unnatural, enhanced humans, the coordinators, on the other side. And if you've seen my previous question on the week, which I will have linked on screen right now, you might remember that before the war between the naturals and the coordinators broke out in earnest, they did try to talk it over, and they did try to prevent that war from happening. But every single time, a terrorist attack just conveniently blew up those plans. And it won't surprise you to hear that it is speculated that Logos was in some way connected to those attacks. Shocking. I know. And it also won't surprise you to hear that many of those Logos members were also members of Blue Cosmos, a former environmentalist group who one day decided that the best way to protect nature was to kill all the coordinators. Because logic. And the members of Logos had a lot of influence over the Atlantic Federation in particular, which was also the heavyweight behind the Earth Alliance. So they would become ever more radical in their hatred for the coordinators, up to the point that the end goal of the war became the same goal as Blue Cosmos had. Kill all coordinators. But unfortunately for the Atlantic Federation and Logos, nuke every single coordinator into oblivion does not make for a good battle strategy, nor does the stance of either you're with us or against us make you a lot of friends. So while they did have initial success, I would say that out of all of the financially motivated warmongers, they were the least successful in the long run. But it wasn't just giant organizations that were creating conflict for money. In the many Gundam universes, we also encounter a lot of mercenaries. And while most were happy enough with the opportunities that presented themselves, some were a bit more enterprising, let's say. Like al-Saachez, he started his career as a freedom fighter, self-proclaimed freedom fighter, fighting in the name of God. But when the cause was lost, he decided to become a mercenary and would literally call himself a warmonger. So perfect for the subject of this video. Although you could also argue that he doesn't quite fit the definition for a financially motivated warmonger, because in the same segment that he calls himself a warmonger, he also says that he just likes to fight. So, yeah.
Who are you?
I'm a warmonger. I can't help it. I love everything about war. I'm the very worst kind of person. Someone who lives and dies for humanity's most primitive impulse.
But still, as one of the most high-profile warmongers / mercenaries / paid-to-fight guys, I couldn't just not include him on this list. And next up then, we have Galan Mossa, a mercenary that was literally paid to stir up a conflict, or more precisely, to extend an existing conflict. To make a long story very short, the longer the conflict went on, the worse the enemy of his contractor would look. And those were the main financially motivated Gundam warmongers that I could think of. If you know any other good ones, definitely leave them down below in the comments. And if you have another question you would like me to answer in one of these segments, you can also leave them down there. But that has been all for this video. As always, a big thank you to the Patreon supporters. I hope everyone watching has a great evening, and I'll see you all next time.